Hi, and welcome to the 2021 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday, April the 6th, 2021 edition. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button for the latest financial news in the U.S. and sometimes abroad as well. And I thank you for your support. Now, we are seeing signs of spring everywhere. From the Chinese economy to the United States economy, now that trade is freely flowing again through the Suez Canal and the ship Ever Given has been cleared, Chinese products and services can continue to flow to places like Europe, America, Africa, and other places around the world. So that's the good news. It's also good news that the economy has been growing at its fastest pace this past 2 weeks since 1984. 1984, that's an interesting year. That's the George Orwell year, as you know. And it would appear that we are in an Orwellian type of economy, meaning that the surveillance economy that we have now is being dominated by China from the supply chain that is going to be impacting here, meaning that we're going to have supply shortages coming up. And guess what? That is going to increase the prices of everything, as you can already see in most places around the country, from the Northeast to the Southeast to the West to the Midwest. The Fed can fight inflation, but it may come at the cost of future growth. This is an article from CNBC, March 20th. Federal Reserve officials say they have the tools to fight inflation should it become a problem, where it is becoming a problem now. As you know, the 10-year Treasury note is at 1.7% and growing, and experts predict that that's going to continue to rise above 2% as inflationary pressures deal with inflationary pressures throughout the economy deals with inflationary pressures, throughout the remainder of 2021. And so therefore in 2022, we're going to see a slowdown of this GDP growth as well as rate hikes. We're getting tax hikes because our President Biden is going to be increasing corporate taxes. And that in turn is going to be passed on to you and I as companies lay off the hiring pace that they're on now to get the economy back. The Fed thinks the strongest economic growth in nearly 40 years will generate almost no lasting inflationary pressure, which we suspect is a view that will eventually be proven wrong, said Andrew Hunter, senior U.S. economist at Capital Economics. Well, gas prices have been on the rise in California. There's some stations in LA reporting gas above $5.99 a gallon for regular, not just premium unleaded. One of the reasons that the Federal Reserve officials don't fear inflation these days is the belief that they always say they have the tools to deploy should it become a problem. Well, the only tool that they have so far deployed is printing money. And of course, we can't blame them because most countries, the European Central Bank and other countries around the world have been printing stimulus packages as well. So everybody's kind of following the leader. So we can't exactly single them out. But the tools that they have is going to be messing up the U.S. economy going forward, because the more you print, the more you devalue not only the U.S. dollar, but you also add more to the national debt and to the debt that we have to pay back. And it becomes a point of diminishing returns. And China is in a better position because they have gold reserves. They have 2 billion people that are workers. They're producing things. And so we don't produce anything in here. We will be in a better position if we produced anything here, but we don't. We just produce maybe fast food. Before they tried to convince us that they were producing masks in the United States, but that became a farce because N95 masks, most of those, as you know, on Amazon, those come from China and Singapore and Thailand and places like that. So we don't produce anything. So this inflation is going to go up. Expect inflation to go up to 4.5 to 5% by the end of the year. Also expect taxes to go up. And because of that, we can't keep inflation in check. It's going to cause problems for the supply chain in America. Many people are going to be out traveling, as you know. This summertime is the peak time. Airlines have already said, they came on to MSNBC and Fox News, they've said American, Delta, Southwest, United, they've all said that they're going to be raising airfares because May through July is their peak travel season, guys. So from O'Hare Airport to Atlanta Hartsfield to LAX to Chicago to New York JFK, they're going to be raising plane tickets because this is the peak travel season, and they're expecting people to forget about the health crisis. They're going to be packed planes. Travel is going to go off the chain. Cruise ships are asking the CDC to demand that they be able to resume cruises 100% by July. So this pent up demand is supposed to be coming to help the economy, but at the same time, prices are going up. And so how much money is going to go around? Because we're not getting another stimulus check, unfortunately. We had a hard time passing this $1,400 stimulus check for most Americans. And now another stimulus check before the end of the year is unlikely, very unlikely, because the infrastructure bill is going to take up the next $3 trillion that President Biden is focusing on. And so there's only so much that you can fill up the jug here before it runs over. There's only so much funny money that you can print into an economy that's not producing anything, that's not bearing any fruit. When you're not bearing any fruit produced in your life, just like anything else, eventually the fruit spills over and goes to another jug, goes to another place that is bearing fruit. And so the more they pour into this empty jug, empty promises of stimulus, of jobs, of recovery that's not happening, as you can see, the more the U.S. economy sinks down into the depths of despair. Now, the great news is that we have, not only that we have time, the great news is that the Federal Reserve is going to do all it can to try to lessen the effects of this depression that we're going to be experiencing. And they are. They're going to try to print their way out of it, just like Zimbabwe or Weimar Germany or Venezuela. So that is the good thing. The more they print, that buys us some time. But as you can see, there's only so much you can print before hyperinflation sets in, and then stagflation, and finally deflation, because the prices and everything collapse because there's nothing supporting them underlying in this economy. New home sales take a hit too as well, as builders grapple with bigger and delays and bigger costs. Sales of newly built homes fell more than expected in February as builders face higher costs for supplies like lumber and stuff, like I told you, that comes from overseas. So rising mortgage rates as well. Right, mortgage rates are peaking at 3.5%, sometimes 3.6, almost up to 4% in some cases here. So this is going to create the perfect storm. The perfect storm for those who are looking to get into new homes, and those looking to sell at a profit. Those who are flipping homes are no longer getting the profit, squeezing juice out of this economy. And so those movers, probably by this summer, those who have moved out of California to Arizona, Colorado, Denver, those who have moved out from high cost of living places, all of that's going to be settled down by this summer, and you're going to see the collapse of this housing market after September, October, as well as the stock market. They're going to come together, as it's going to be later on this year in October and November time frame. That's when that's going to happen. And then next year, we're going to have, of course, higher taxes and less money to work with. And that's when things are really going to be. Because you remember in 1929, the same thing happened. We had a Democratic president come in. I believe it was Taft, William Howard Taft. He came in, Roosevelt, came in, Theodore, and came in and did the New Deal, same thing, infrastructure, same deal. And that next year was absolutely horrible. And so this is what we're facing here in America, but worldwide. Everybody's seeing it worldwide. They're seeing a decline. And my friends in Australia are telling me this. My friends in Europe are saying, yes, the economy. So we've been in a recession for the last 12 years. But now we're going to go into a depression. And economists are not going to tell you this until we're already deep into this thing. And so don't expect an official declaration that we're in a depression until next year, second quarter, third quarter. That's when they're going to say, look, things are not getting better despite all of this pent-up demand, all of this travel, all of this rebounding fake recovery. Because remember, the stimulus and the fake recovery is just a one-time thing. It's not a reoccurring thing. If it was reoccurring payments or something, or somewhere where you can spend the money, with the shops and the retails that are closing down, there's only so many places that you can spend money. So you can either save it, spend it, or invest it. With money, it's just a tool. And so with this economy going like that, it's just going to provide another canary in the coal mine, another sore spot that we have to deal with, is that rates combined with rising rates, and people are not spending or traveling as much. That means that demand goes down. When demand goes down but supply goes up, you have a glut of supply, a glut of goods and services that nobody can purchase because there's no liquidity on the market. There's no money velocity. That's why it's going to be a deflationary depression, ladies and gentlemen. Now, but first we have to get through this period of hyperinflation, unfortunately, and that's gonna last until next year. And that's when we're gonna go into the major collapse. And people are gonna say, "Oh man, how did we get here? What happened? I thought we were doing good. We got the stimulus, the infrastructure bill. Well, now the tax man cometh. Now all of these bills are due. Other countries are gonna be feeling the pressure too, and they're gonna, since everything is denominated in dollars, any of the major trades, they're gonna be asking for the money. They're gonna be calling in their bets, and that's when the stock market, the housing market, the credit market. And don't forget, we can still have another black swan event. That's what we're going to look out for at the end of this year too as well. And there's a black swan event in one of these countries, a bank goes under, Deutsche Bank or one of these other banks, or the bond market goes under, because the Federal Reserve Bank is still buying $120 billion of bonds every month. And they've already said that they look to scale back, but not until 2023. So it's possible that one of these black swan events, like a bank goes under, there's a credit freeze, a cyber hack, or a power goes out, EMP attack, anything of those cases, then all bets are off. So we're giving it to next year, 2022 in the beginning, and that's when you're gonna say that, when you say that most economists are gonna say, look, we're not in a recession, we are in a depression. So look forward to that. Be blessed. Continue to prepare, ladies and gentlemen. We have time. Continue to fill up your glass of preparations of food, water, medicine, lifetime supplies, generator, things of that nature, because you're going to need it. Because once the supplies stop flowing from other countries to America and to the Western world, that's it. We're not going to be able to see it. Or if you do see some of the supplies that you need, they're going to be at astronomical prices that most of us are not going to be able to afford. And so don't let that catch you by surprise, because inflation is creeping up. And like I said, you won't see it until later on this year. And you're going to really say, oh man, things are really getting out of control. It's possible that this summer we could see gas as high as $4, $5, $6 a gallon in some of these localities around America. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for everything. Be blessed. I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you for listening.